Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
We are back. This is Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me is my buddy Jacob Litton. We're going to talk about the Lions. We got some mock drafts we're going to do. We were supposed to have a guest today, Peter from the Draft Hub. As of right now, he's stuck at work, so we're trying. Well, he may join us later on. So if he does, cool. If not, we're going to run through these mock drafts. Jacob and I are prepared. But Jacob, were you prepared for the Lions? For the Wolverines to win the national championship on Monday?
I was prepared.
Yeah.
No, I don't like to speak these things into existence because I believe in the jinx, the bad karma. But
Yeah.
absolutely, I mean, all season long, they played like a championship team. So definitely saw that coming. UConn played a very tough game, though, and they had me nervous for most of the second half.
Yeah, they definitely played. I mean, to me, it was like Michigan played one of their worst games of the tournament, maybe even the worst game.
It was the worst game of the tournament for them, for sure.
Did not, Lendaboro was hurt. That did not help at all. You could tell he was a shell of himself. He even said that he sucked. Like, I don't know if you saw like the halftime speech and afterwards, he was like, yeah, I suck. I can't do what I need to do. And Morrow was missing those shots early on too, those little baby hooks. And I was like, come on, guys, get these nerves down.
Yeah, the three-pointer thing kind of killed the first half. Because if we even hit 3 of those, that's a 9-point advantage that we're adding on to the lead we already had.
Yeah.
Plus, it's just slowing them down a little bit more. So it was one of those things where I was like, oh, man, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. We got to figure it out. And as the game is going on, we're still, we hit a few of them, but we just were a way different team with Cadeau out there. So when he had to get pulled early on because of foul trouble, he deserved to be the most outstanding player for sure. And shouts out to Yax though, like you said, if he's healthy, that's probably another 30-point win. The fact that he's out there just, as a threat and to help defensively, he's not as fast. He's not explosive. Like he was not able to do anything. Even his shots were not really smooth. They weren't falling. But for him to play the whole first half.
Yeah. The thing that I liked in the second half is he did, he managed to drive to the hoop every once in a while, and he drove to the hoop, missed that shot, but then got his own tip in. And I thought that was crazy because like that had to hurt like heck to be able to, stop, jump like that, and then jump, keep hopping back up on that. But yeah, great. Go Wolverines. It's nice to have, football 2 years ago and now basketball 2 years later. Love it.
Awesome.
All right, let's move on to the Lions. Before we get to draft talk, Avante Maddox is back, and I am very happy about that. Although, my panic mode goes in when I start thinking about Kirby. But what do you think about them getting Maddox back?
I think it just makes sense, right? We still need more safety help. We don't know what's going on with Kirby, which I don't know if that really even factored in. It's just, Avante played well for us last year. He's a veteran. It made a lot of sense to bring him back. I don't have any contract details. I don't know if they've announced that yet, but I doubt that it's much of a pay increase from what he got before.
I bet you it's a vet minimum is what I'm betting, and it's
Maybe
very
some
low. I
incentive.
could tell you that, and it'll be interesting if there's any guaranteed money. I'm going to bet no, but there might be a little bit. And I mean, no, there's going to be some guaranteed money. I'll rephrase that, but I don't think the contract's going to be guaranteed. So he'll probably get some sort of small minimal signing bonus, and that's it. What do you think this has anything to do with Kirby, or do you think that this was going to happen regardless of where Kirby's progress is?
I don't think it had anything to do with Kirby. I don't know what they would be able to know about Kirby now that they didn't already know before. I mean, it's been up and down throughout the entire season. They weren't sure. It seemed like, hey, he might play next week. Oh, maybe he won't for a whole, 6-week period. Then he's out and he tries to come back. I mean, we've talked about it before. Hopefully it's not going to be something that lingers and that's just how it's going to be from now on. But we need the safety help, and Avante makes sense. The timing of it, I think, is a little bit weird. I don't know if maybe Avante was exploring other options or something, or it was just no rush.
Maybe he was thinking about retiring, and maybe he just
True.
decided to come back. I mean, it could be anything like that. We do have a pretty loaded, as far as numbers concerned, safety room right now. So it makes you think, like, do we have room to even draft one? Although we could cut someone and move on.
You're
Dan
always
Jackson,
trying to get better, right?
right? Yeah, Dan Jackson's spot's not locked in stone. There's other guys that they can move. Lawrence Strickland, they can move on from. Even Avante Maddox, they could say, thanks for joining us. But they're also very versatile. A lot of those guys, some of those guys could play. A lot of the guys could play nickel. Some of the guys could even bounce out the outside corner. So there is some flexibility there that I do like. So you could add some, you got some variability with your roster construction. But I'm just happy to have Avante Maddox back. You have, someone with experience of starting back there. Obviously, big, playoff experience just with being in the Super Bowl. Nothing's going to scare him. We get into some high pressure games. So I'm happy with Avante coming back. I think it's a good depth signing. And obviously last year, and with Kirby and Branch, you don't know what you're going to get. So it's just good to have good depth there. Before we move on here, Dan Pask is asking you something, Jacob. He must have missed last week. So we're going to say, is Jacob using a backdrop photo, or is there's Lions Man Cave coming along?
Hey, Dan, yes. The man cave's coming along, man. It's the home office now. I got one of the gigs like Jason where I'm going to be able to work remotely from home. So I have an office area now. Haven't started working remotely yet, but I have an office area. I've got the Lions backdrop on the wall. I don't know how much you can see. I've got a few things going.
You can see everything. You see the Hutch jersey, the Johnson. You got your signed football up there. Yeah, we could see it.
Yeah, man.
Is that the Bad Boys hat? Is that
I
a
got
Bad
Boys hat? I got my Grant Hill. They call them the City Edition or whatever now, but it's the teal Pistons.
Nice.
See, a lot of my collectibles that were not safe before. They were in extreme danger last time. Now they're good.
Yep. So it's good. We got Jacob all set, and we'll be able to. And in case you missed it, Dan, we might be doing some earlier shows too, like earlier in the morning, because Jacob's got this new job set up. So we're gonna kind of play it by ear and see how this all works out, but it might be a possibility. Got UMW in the chat. Always glad to have you in there. He said, "Get Michigan a hockey title." Western Michigan had
Yes.
one, and that was cool. As a Broncos grad, I'm or not grad, but alumni, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Go Broncos! But yeah, I want to get Wolverines. Anything take away from the Spartans, they don't need to get anything.
Yeah, right.
All right,
The
so
Spartans aren't even close.
no, they're not, and that's okay. Jacob, the Beast came out today. If you guys don't know what the Beast is, it's put out by Dave Brugler on The Athletic. If you're interested in the draft at all, Jacob and I both recommend just getting, if you don't have a subscription to The Athletic, get it for like 1 month. You get it real cheap. Almost any information that you want on a prospect is in there. It is amazing. So Jacob, what's your favorite part about the Beast, Jacob?
I mean, I just think it's the most in-depth one that's out there. If you go to like NFL.com or ESPN, you're gonna see, usually one or two of a player's like strengths and weaknesses. And once you do like 2 or 3 players, they all start to sound the same. This doesn't sound the same. This is like in depth. It's got like more information about the player on a personal level. It's got the pronunciation guide. I love that. So I'm not just butchering these names. Just combine measurements, pro day measurements, if they did that. I love that they put like what scouts or what like coaching staff and stuff like quotes that they're saying about these players too. I like
Yes.
reading into that and seeing what the team says about like, the, pros and cons, strengths, weaknesses. I just love this. I've been waiting for this one to come out so I can dive in really deep because it's not the same me and my limited time trying to do my research and doing my, watching tape and stuff like that. Love being able to reference this.
Yes, it's great. And if we hear about a prospect too, right? You got this, you could just know right where to go, and you could get like 95% of the information you want to get. To me, the other 5% is watching some, watching either some YouTube highlights or tape that you can get a hold of. It is dynamite. So I highly recommend getting this. Just so everyone knows, the number 1 overall prospect on there is Arvell Reese. He has number 2 is actually Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame. So I was kind of surprised to see him all the way up at number 2. This draft, just looking at like where the rankings are, there are a lot of non-premier positions that are ranked really, really high. So to me, this is a draft that you could get like a top 10 talent later on. And, later on in the draft. And the Lions are in this prime position that they could either, one could fall in their lap. I know we want tackle. I know that everybody wants that, but there could be a player that falls to us later in this draft just because it's not a premier position. So get ready for a surprise. It could happen. Even Brian Holmes may fall in love with one of these guys and jump up in a couple spots to get him too. So I'm it's next week. The draft's next week or 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm really looking forward to it.
Cannot wait.
When you looked at this, Jacob, were there any names that you like wanted to go right away and look them up to get the information that you wanted?
There are a handful of people that I was like, okay, yes, I want to see what they say. I always like seeing the Michigan players just to start there because those I kind of have a better beat on what I've seen with my own eyes and, more in depth as the season goes on. So I like looking at the Michigan players first, especially when there's one like towards the top, which there's not really this year, but
No.
yeah. And then just people that I'm interested in the Lions taking.
Yeah.
Every single offensive tackle and, edge that might be there, I've clicked and tried to look through each one. It just came out today, so I have not had as much time as I'd like, but I dive in deep.
Yeah, I know.
And then once we draft that person, I'm right back there again trying to read the strengths, weaknesses, and see what we got.
Yeah. Or like during the draft, it's nice. You could be like, kind of like, see, okay, this is the way the board's falling. And everyone, everyone has got their own draft board. When you look at Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, they all have these draft boards. So, you could always reference a player and be like, oh, they're 50 on Jeremiah's, but then you look on Dave Brugger's, they may be 70 or later. So it's kind of interesting. There's obviously some personal preference in there. And then when you get into like specific team needs, their rankings will be totally different for what the Lions want compared to what the Bears want or the Vikings want, or whatever. So that'll
That's
be
where it
interesting.
helps too, having the Lions aspect of it, because if you're, not that I know too much about like what Daniel Jeremiah does, but I mean, those guys are looking like, okay, the Lions need edge. They're probably looking whatever, tackle, corner, but there's a specific kind of corner that we're gonna want. There is a specific kind of edge that we're gonna want. You can't just plug and play whatever edge that's on this list for these guys. And I think that's where, which is not their fault either. I mean, there's 32 teams. There's a lot of scouting. There's a lot of stuff you got to go into this.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So you see a guy like Cassius Howell or someone get mocked to the Lions, and you're like, that's not a Lions edge. That's not someone that they're going to want. Not for at what you'd have to give up draft capital wise. If you get that same type of player later on in the draft, Lions would probably be okay with that, but they're not going to spend a first round on a guy that's a pure pass rusher. They're not, they're going to need to require some sort of, holding the edge and, defending the run. So I will say that next week, Eric Schlitt will be on. That will be a very Lions centric draft. I've already been getting my questions ready for Eric. It's like our own personal mailbag for like an hour or so. So,
Right.
and if you guys come in the chat, you guys will be able to, I can't promise that we'll get to every question because obviously we only have limited time with Eric, but we would love to be able to get your questions to Eric and or some version of them if we combine questions. And we're not really sure if we're going to do a mock with Eric, or Eric likes to talk and I like to listen to him talk. So we probably just ask questions and learn a bunch about what the Lions are going to do. This year we got him like a week before the draft. Last year it was like before the grid index come out. We spent a lot of time talking about that. We'll ask him a little bit about the advances in the grid index, but then it's going to be straight draft talk for whatever time Eric gives us. We plan on at least an hour. So
Can't
all
wait
right,
for that.
Jacob. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Let's get it. You want to get in some mocks? You want to do this?
I'm ready, man. Let's do this.
All right. So how I thought we would do this, and if you're okay with this, Jacob, I found there's a ton of different simulators out of there. So I was gonna just do a few different ones because the ratings are different, and therefore, the players available are different.
Right.
And then what I thought we'd do is just straight draft, no trades early on. And if at the end, maybe we'll have a trade where we could do a couple trades, either trade up or trade back, depending on what's available to us. Does that sound good to you?
Okay. Yeah. So
All right.
we're doing multiple mock drafts. The first one we're not going to do any trades. The second one we might explore.
Yeah, it's some of these websites are easier to use, and I'm only going. Let's do only up through round 4. I'm not getting crazy with this thing because I don't know the draft prospects at the end of this draft. And
Well, if you
I
do third
normally
round 4, that's 3 picks, right?
4 picks.
4
4
picks.
picks.
2 picks. And yeah.
No, yeah, 4 picks because we got 2 in the 4th.
2 in the 4th, but yeah.
2 in the 4th, and I would probably only really do a 3-rounder, but since we don't have a 3rd round pick, that really only gives us a 2-rounder. So that's why I'm choosing 4 if you're cool with that.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the kind of draft where if we're not trading up, we need to hit on these 4th round picks too, or they need to be people that can be contributors if needed.
Yep. And so also I want to tell you, so if you're live, obviously you're going to be able to see it on our screen. If you listen to us just on Spotify or Apple, we're going to try to describe what's going on, who is available. So you could still, this is not like a totally visual thing. However, if you do want the visual version, you can go to our YouTube channel. We'll have it up there. Spotify also carries video. So if it's something that you could, you do it on your phone or whatever, we have the video uploaded too. So if you want to see like who's available on your screen as we're looking, you go ahead and do that. But we're going to try to describe this to make it, so the visuals aren't like needed to understand what's going on. And I thought we would just kind of maybe when it gets to Lions pick, we talk about who were just drafted ahead of it, Jacob, just so that everyone kind of knows what's in there, if that sounds cool to you.
Yep.
All right, I'm getting it up. Yeah, we're gonna do ESPN first, and then doing the wrong one.
Have you done any of these mock drafts? I've not used.
Yeah, I was messing around with them. I was messing around with them the last week or so, just to kind of, number one, just so I was kind of prepared when I was doing this, but also just to kind of see, where each of these things had players, ranked and who fell to the Lions. So round 4 mock on the screen right now is the ESPN one. Let me see what other ones we have. What other ones I lined up? So I have the Pro Football Network one. We'll probably do next, and then there's NFL mock draft database. We're going to do that. It's a mock draft simulator. So those are the 3 that I'm going to try, and we'll see how it goes. So let's start this draft. So Mendoza goes number 1. Let's see here. All right. So I could get our guys off the screen here. So Ty Simpson goes right up before us to the Jets. Fano went 15 to the Buccaneers. Proctor went to 13 to the Rams. Monroe Freeling went to the Cowboys. I don't like our tackle prospects right here, Jacob. So, and then Mamanoa went number 4 to the Titans. So if you want to do a tackle, we are, Blake Miller's out there. Let's see here. You have Blake Miller. You could do, what else is out there? Okay, Lomu's out there. Man, that's rough. So I don't know. If the board fell like this, Fanu went, Monroe Freeling went, Proctor went. Are you going to want to do, what's that OT tackle 5?
No.
Is that what are you going to want to go there, or you want to go somewhere else? Because I could tell you where I probably lean. Messidor's out there, and I am very interested in that. He has not gone yet. There's the 2 safeties out there, Dylan Thieneman, and then the Toledo safety, McNeil Warren's out there.
Right.
Cornerback, Avion Terrell's out there. That's or you could go with the other edge, Keldrick Falk, if that's what you want to do. I could tell you, if the board fell like this, I'd be tempted to trade back a little bit.
Right.
And then, because I'd even trade back 1 or 2 spots, because then I'm going to get Falk or Messidor, right? I would probably want to get one of those. And then maybe you could get a 3rd round pick out of that. Like, I think you can get if you move back like 2 spots, you might be able to get a 3rd rounder, depending on where that 3rd rounder sits. So, looking at the board the way it is, Jacob, I'll let you make the pick, man. Who are you going to go with here?
Well, just to say, so Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver from USC, they've got him falling out of, where they thought he was going to go. So he's dropped Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end. If I'm making the pick right here, there's no trades. I want Messidor.
Okay.
That's who I would want on the team is Messidor.
Okay. I'm
with
you on that.
Love Lomu or Blake Miller here in this spot.
I think
trade back would be great.
Trade back, yes. Yeah, because I think so if you're if you're Brad Holmes and you're like, I gotta get, if I don't think he thinks this in his mind, but if he's like, if I come over with this edge or tackle, I'd be okay. So if I trade back 4 or 5 spots, I'm probably guaranteed to get one of those, one of the players that I covet, and then I get a 3rd round pick out of it. And another thought. Well, we'll talk about that when we get a trade. But I'm going to go with Messidor here, and then we can move on to the next pick here. So we drafted edge, so that means are we thinking tackle?
It means Lions fans are super happy. Everybody's super stoked that we got an edge in the 1st round.
We got an edge, except for the people that are jersey. Yeah. All right, so let's just look right here, Jacob. So Gabe Jacobs is an edge that I know a lot of Lions fans are about. He goes 44, and we're picking at I think what do we have 50. So he goes to he's available. I'm sorry, these are the guys that are available. Sorry, I was looking at the list wrong. So how do you say Max's name? The Iacador. I could look it up.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Ahinachor. Where's the beast? Let me look it up. I knew how to say this before because I've had him on my radar for a while.
Ihanachor. It starts with an E sound. So Ihanachor, like if he fell to number 48, I could see the Lions like trying to jump that.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Getting into that spot, because then you could try to move up. You got those 2 4th rounders, you probably move up. Zion Young, I know we drafted edge, but just to know where the edges went, Zion Young went 37. if the Lions were looking at linebackers, Jake Galladay went 36 to the Raiders. So that was
They've got Anthony Hill to the Jets, Golday to the Raiders, and then CJ Allen to the Texans. So there's been three linebackers going so far in round 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right after the Lions picked Messidor, the Vikings got their safety with McNeil Warren. They went with him. So, all right. So on the board, the top 2 players are wide receivers that are left on their board. Gabe Jacobs. We could just draft Gabe Jacobs and then we get 2 edges right away, Jacob. And every Lions fan is going crazy, right? We finally did it. I could tell
they'd
you
still be mad. They would still be mad. Either it's
Would
not
they
the
still
edge
be
that they
mad?
wanted, or then we've wasted a pick on edge. And why would we do that?
Exactly. Don't draft him, a couple years and then we get that. So I could tell you the players that I like that I just see here that I would be interested is Keontae Scott, the cornerback out of Miami. I really like him. Watching tape on him, I really like that. The other one that's intriguing to me just because, like Brett Whitefield really likes this guy. Eric Schlitt is not a huge Jennings Dunker fan. But if we feel like we need to get a tackle like that could come in, that would be a guy that you're looking at. However, he might project better as a guard, but not like we don't have a need for guard either. Like, you could move him in over at, if he doesn't make it like at tackle, you could have him at left guard, as insurance or, backup guard. So that would be interesting. Is there any guys on here that I'm not mentioning that you like, Jacob?
The linebacker Jacob Rodriguez.
Okay.
We already have a Rodrigo, so that would be that'd be an interesting combination there. Linebacker is a position of need. It'd be nice to get somebody like that. I also, as soon as it popped up and I saw Keontae Scott, I was like, okay, that would be cool if we were able to get him there. The question then becomes, though, if you were to take linebacker, if you were to take cornerback, then we have not addressed offensive line, and now we don't have another pick until round 4. And the odds of you getting a guy in round 4 that potentially could play right away, or it just drops. It drops the chance that he's going to be a quality starter drops from round 2 to round 4 by a lot. But you'd have to, if this is the card we've been, or the hand we've been dealt, if Jennings Dunker is the only one that's on there, if that's not who you like, I mean, keep scrolling down. Who's the next tackle after that listed on here?
It is way down there. So I mean, that is going to be your. I mean, Caleb. There's Caleb Tiernan, who is that would be an option. Although there's questions about him as well, but I think almost everybody is all these linemen have holes. Even in the first round, they have holes. There's no even like Maui Noah now, I don't know if you saw the report, is going in to have more scans on his back just to alleviate some concerns that he has. And that, it's good that he's going in and doing that, but, could that make him fall? And if he does, if he gets into past 10, I think he's in Lions striking distance, and Brad Holmes would go up and get that guy. This is the dilemma that I've come up with every time I've done a mock and not taken a tackle in the first round, is that you're really, 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 worried about the tackle or the offensive lineman you're going to get in the second round at pick 50, unless you jump up a little bit and get him. I feel like the play almost is to get the tackle in the first round, and then you figure out what other position you need, if the edge is there, or if you go with your linebacker. Linebacker is a sneaky pick with Alex, and just depending on the scheme and stuff, it's going to be interesting. Safety is a concern because we don't know what's going on. That's why I like Keontae Scott. He could play corner. He's definitely played nickel. Very good instincts, but he reminds me of like a branch type player that can go all over. So I do like that. The other sneaky thing is Jadarian Price, the running back out of Notre Dame. You know what I mean? Like that would just piss everybody off. But when you're talking about value and what you need to,
there's some first round rumblings about that guy.
Yes, there are, and that's why I'm saying if he were to fall this far, the value that Brad Holmes covets would be there if he feels like he's the playmaker. I could tell you this just out of my own feeling, I would probably go with Dunker in this position because of what we chose in the first round. But I would not be mad about Keontae Scott. I would not be mad about Jacob Rodriguez if you like him. So since you did the first one, I'm going to go with Dunker on the second one if you're cool with that.
Hey, that's fair. I don't like that pick. That's fair.
All right. Who would you have went with? Just so I know.
If that's exactly how it played and I had to pick right there, I would have took Keontae Scott probably.
I've done a couple mocks where I've taken him, and I would not be mad about that pick. I think the fans would be pissed. I think they'd be like, "Why you drafted a cornerback when we obviously need offensive linemen?" But
the offensive lineman, if that's who we get, he's not a ready tackle, right? You don't know if he's playing tackle or guard, and you don't know what you're getting. If the whole point of getting a tackle that early is because you need him to be a starter, hopefully, by next year, I don't think you take a question mark in the second round.
All right.
But
we're up now.
like you said, and your point for taking him is that if you don't take the chance on that guy right there, then your odds of hitting on anybody are so low, you might as well not even draft a tackle at that point.
Exactly. You're drafting him for the future.
Or then you're getting a Manu or somebody later that, you're hoping that you strike gold on. And we know how that's worked out.
Yeah. I don't, you could also say, okay, we're happy with, what we have at tackle already, but we know that some people are going to be cut at some point. So you could play that game too, where, okay, we're going to take what we can get now, and then we're going to get, we're going to look for the tackle market after the draft and go from there. It's been depressed as far as like money wise. So it might not cost you as much. You probably have to restructure a contract to get, to get that in there, but it would be worth it, obviously. Because Borum, if we could, Borum may be able to start in a pitch. Like my feeling about Borum is, okay, like if one of our starting tackles gets hurt and he comes in, okay, that is what it is. I want him as a swing tackle and being out there on run plays and doing his, so we could just run the ball really well, but and just being a spot starter if we need it for an injury. That's my thought on Borum. With Dunker, Borum's probably starting the season out, and then we're hoping that Dunker's taking over by the end of the season, unless he's getting kicked inside the guard if the draft went this way. So Jacob, we got edge first round, tackle, which is like how most people feel like the draft is going to go. What position or what player are you looking for in the fourth round here? Let's see here. I could tell you some guys that I'm kind of interested in.
I mean, the first one that jumps out at me right here is Nick Singleton, the running back.
Okay.
But, that's tough. It's not that we don't need a running back necessarily, right? I mean, like he could provide value, but there's other positions of need that are higher. In this scenario, we have not taken a defensive back yet, so I think that might be where we're looking.
Okay.
You see, is it Takario Davis down there for Washington?
There's also this Will Lee from Texas A&M. I'm not really familiar with him too much. I'll tell you a safety that I'm kind of been looking at is Bishop Fitzgerald out of USC. He just seems like a guy that's always in the right place. I kind of like him. Another sneaky need that we need is defensive tackle, like nose tackle help too. You know what I mean? I know we spent money on Aleem. We got Tyleek in the first round, but with DJ Reader gone, and then Lopez gone, we could also need some, defensive tackle help. So I don't think that that's a wrong pick either, too. So do you have any thoughts on where would you go? I'm gonna let you pick on this one. So
scroll down a little bit more. Let me see if you guys there. Maybe not. You're going too fast.
Sure. Oh, sorry. Do I need to go up or you got it? So you got.
I've got.
Go Drew Aller, the quarterback out of Penn State. Do it.
Can't go wrong there, right? That's your big nose tackle, Rayshon Benny from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not. I'm not loving any of these people that I'm seeing next on the list right here.
Yep. All right. So who we want to go with? You can do your cornerback, Will Lee. Let's see. What does the Beast have Will Lee ranked at?
I was just gonna say I don't know what I had Will Lee ranked before, but I feel like Takario Davis was one of those like sneaky.
So Will Lee is a 5th round grade for quarterback 21 on the Beast. You got Rio Davis is cornerback 14 on the Beast, 4th round grade. So they would have.
And I remember now like why the name obviously has got a unique name, but right before we went live, I looked at like the way too early mock draft and Takario Davis, like at the end of draft season last year when they were trying to look forward to this year, he was a top 10 pick.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean he's been respected. I'm gonna say Takario Davis is who we're gonna take here.
All right, let's do it. All right. Now we'll have another pick at the end of this round, then we'll wrap that up. All right. So now Nick Singleton's available for
Yeah.
your still out there. You got go. You could double up at edge. You got George Grums. You got Joey Royer, the tight end out of or Cincinnati. Could go with something like that. Yeah, I think, man, I almost want to go Nick Singleton.
Right.
Just
That's tempting.
let's see here. 8th RB on 5th round grade. So I mean, we're right at the end of the 4th round, so it wouldn't be an overplay on him.
Well, and this
It's
is ESPN, right? So ESPN has him ranked. It looks like it says 110th, and this is pick 128.
yeah, and he has kick return skills, so I
Right.
like that.
We talked
I'm
about
going
him in
Nick
our preview
Singleton.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
adds value.
Yep. So there we go. All right. So that's what you happen if you get Messidor. So we get Messidor, which is going to improve our defense right away, right? So I like that. You got Jennings Dunker, gives us some offensive line help, can either be on the outside or projects to be good on the inside. He's a Lions player. He's a gritty player. He looks like he belongs in Honolulu Blue. Takario Davis sounds like he was, maybe just didn't have a great year. He is like a 3 or 4 year starter. So, I mean, he's got plenty of starts under his belt. It is nice to get some quarterback depth. We don't know what Rakestraw is going to give us this year. Obviously, we have Rock. We don't know what Terrion's going to happen. So, I got that. And then, yeah, we get some cheap running back help with some kick return ability in the 4th round. I'm not complaining about it. So, what do you?
I would be okay with that.
Yep. All right. We're going to do the next one here. Let's do the Pro Football Network one.
Is that where you can trade?
No, the last, I think you could. So the last one is the one that you could do, like it'll come up with trades for you, like automatically, and then or you could do them yourself too. I don't know if you could do it in this one, but let's just see. Let's do 4 rounds again. Dan Pass said we should have went tight end. He said tight end sounds good. And I think that tight end is a need for our team, especially long term. When you think about draft, especially when you get later on, I mean, you're not, you don't necessarily look at what we need this year. We need to look at what we'd look down the line. With Sam Laporta, we're hoping to have him back. But after that, we have really no tight ends left on the roster. So it's good point, Dan.
It is, but it's also outside of Kenyon Sadiq being a first round tight end, the other tight ends that are on there are all going to be. I don't have the Beast pulled up, but I mean, they're not. There's one round 1 tight end. Eli Stowers, one for Vanderbilt, maybe round 1, but probably round 2. Outside of that, I think there's probably a handful of people that are hovering around 2, 3, 4. I mean, I think they're going to be all like middle of the pack, probably around 4 or 5. There's going to be guys there that we can get.
So this one does offer trades, Jacob. So
okay, cool.
This one would be where at pick 17. Before I accept or deny these trades, they have the 49ers offered us pick 27 and 58 as we back up 10 spots. So we could kind of look to see who's available, and then we could go from there. The next trade would be with the Eagles. The Eagles want our 17th pick and pick 128, which is their second, 4th rounder, I believe. They would give us 23 and 54. So you basically move up from pick 128 to 54 and move back only 6 spots in the first round. I am interested in that one. Although I hate moving up with the Eagles, like for them to come up and take the tackle that we were going to take. The next one is a boatload of picks from Tampa Bay. I'm not going to do this, but we'd have to move all the way back to 46, but you get 46, 77, and 116, and then a second rounder next year. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good value, but it's not something I would want to do this year.
I think that's the most likely one. That one where we
the
move
Eagles
back
one
to 23, and then we
get 54. Let's look and see who's available, and then we can kind of decide.
So we would be dropping 6 spots, right?
Yep, we'd be dropping 6 spots. So, let's look at tackles that are available. So, in this one, just Maui Noah dropped all the way to 14. If that happens, I could see the Lions would have traded up in that spot to move up and get Maui Noah
if they love him.
If they love him. So really, hold on. I think that might be the only tackle off the. Oh no, Monroe Freeling went ahead of Maui Noah. Those are the only 2 tackles that are off the board.
And see, there were several of them off before our pick even the last time. So now we've got our pick of a handful of them. Like Fano is there, Caden Proctor is there.
Yes, and they have Lomu. The Pro Football or this one has Caleb Lomu ahead of Spencer Fennell, which I don't. That's not anywhere close to what I've seen these other places have him. So did Messidor go early, or is he out there? I think he's still out there. So you got Messidor out there still. So so we could do the trades if you want to do in this one.
Well, see, here's the difference between this one and the last one. Because the last one was so offensive tackle heavy, we felt like, man, our guy's just not there. Then we felt kind of forced, like, okay, we're going to have to go with one of the edges. And we liked Messidor. That was the easy pick there.
Yeah.
Right now, you've got, if you like Lomo, he's there. But the fact that Fano is there, Proctor is there, that's awesome. Messidor is still there. If you're trading back, you've got to be pretty sure about the teams behind you. Like, the Vikings. Are the Vikings going to take a tackle? I mean, the Vikings are highly projected to take a safety. Are those safeties still there, though? Because Steinman went 12, and then surely Caleb Downs went. Yeah, Caleb Downs went 5. So in this scenario, there's not a top safety other than McNeil Warren, who is not. Yeah, they've got him ranked pretty low.
Yep. So for tackles, what do we have? They have Lomu. As far as first round tackles, you got Lomu, Fanu, Proctor, and Blake Miller, and then Ihanador. So you have 5 tackles there. So you could, I don't know. Let's see here.
I don't love Blake Miller.
Yeah, you don't like
Ihanador. I like, but I mean that's also like if we're getting him in the first round. Yes, in this scenario, we're trading back. We're getting an extra pick out of it, so that would not be the end of the world.
Yep.
Do you want to, just for the sake of rolling the dice and seeing what happens, do we want to accept that trade and see how it plays out?
Yeah, let me see. Okay, that's how I get to it. Okay.
Now, before we accept that trade, if we were doing the no trade thing, if you had to pick somebody here, and this is the way it played out, who would you want?
Fano. Fano. I would. I mean, there'd be no doubt. Like honestly, I would if Fano fell to us, I would just take him. I would be happy with that. I think you're getting one of the top tackles in this class, and I think you'd probably be doing that. But for the purpose of this exercise, let's trade back and see what happens, and then we'll do that. So we're going to trade with the Eagles. So we're going back to pick 23, where we're picking up pick 54. So that's going to give us 3 picks in the top 54, which is right, because we're going to have first, second. Yeah, so 3 picks in the top 54, which is good. I mean, you should project to get, by the end of the year, you should have 3 starters out of that, right?
If we draft well, right?
Right, exactly.
Which historically they do.
All right, so they drafted Keldrick Falk. Peter
Manu went right before.
Right. So now, all right. 49ers really want to move up. We can move back 4 picks and pick up a second rounder next year. I'm not going to do that because it's not going to help us in this draft here. So I'm just going to reject that. So we are going to make a pick here. So you got Lomu available. You have Blake Miller. You actually have Messidor available at 23, which I don't think that's going to happen. Or you have Ihanador. And if it's me, I
picked first last time, so you've got to pick this time.
I got to pick first too. I'm going to go with Blake Miller.
Okay.
At 23, here's my thought process. Blake Miller has a very high floor. His ceiling may not be like super high, but I think that he is going. I think you could plug him in and be good at right tackle, and then you put Panay over on the left, and I think our offensive line is much better. I don't know too much about Honador. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. So, but you like Honador more than Blake Miller, is what you said, right?
I do. The
Why
thing is,
could tell me why that is.
When I'm looking at film and I'm looking at the combine, I'm looking at the things from Blake Miller, I don't, it's just something about his movement. There's something about the way that he plays. Now, if you talk about on paper and what people say about him and everything, they talk about his toughness, and I think that somebody used the word grit when they're talking about Blake Miller. So obviously all of that like checks the boxes for the Lions, but and it's also the whole like floor and ceiling thing. The ceiling, I think, is going to be higher if you have Iheanacho, but he may not be as ready right now to plug and play as Blake Miller would be.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the pros and cons that you would have with those two, and the debate that we would be having if it played out just like this.
Yeah. So I think one thing that we could talk about here is, okay, so before I make the pick, I want to look at this NFL draft trade chart. Okay. So in this scenario, we have 50 and 54, which if you look at the Rich Hill, that gives us like 216 points. If we use that, we could that would be equivalent to the 27th pick in this draft. So that would be moving up to the first round. So essentially we move back to 23. And then we use those same picks and get, so instead of having picks 17 and 50, you have picks 23 and 27. So you get 2 first rounders. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at this, Messidor's still out there. You got Zion Young still out there. So you could have a scenario where you could get, a first round edge and a first round tackle if the board fell this way. So I mean, there is that scenario that you could have there, and maybe in a future draft we'll maybe look at trading up with that. I want to see who we get at 50 and 54, but I'm going to go with Blake Miller on this one, and then we're gonna let this play through. Yeah.
Can't say I would hate the pick. I would be okay if that was the pick. It would make sense to me. Messidor to the Bears.
Messidor went. So, and Zion Young. So both Messidor and Zion Young went before pick 27. So you would maybe hold on to, but Iheanacho went after that.
Chiefs.
So if you pick Messidor, there might be a chance to, trade up and get Iheanacho, at the back end of, at the end of that. Okay, so I'm not going to trade.
So now we've got pick 50 and 54 here.
Right. I'm not going to trade here. But look at who went at 49 right ahead of us, McNeil Warren. In this scenario, Warren gets all the way almost to 50.
And Casey Concepcion, wide receiver, went 45.
45, yeah. Gabe Jacobs went 46 ahead of us.
I mean, I think that's right around where Jacobs is supposed to go, but I mean, for KC to fall, I mean,
and
I don't see McNeil Warren dropping that far either. That would be a pretty big surprise.
Who dropped from D'Angelo Ponce, the cornerback out of Indiana, dropped
right
in this scenario. I'm looking at that. I like that. Keontae Scott is still available at 59. If you want to go defensive tackle, Caleb Banks is still on the board. I could see that would be.
I absolutely could see, especially if you trade and we've gotten these 2 picks right there. I could see Caleb Banks being one of those 2 picks. He visited with the Lions and everything too. So, and he's from Detroit. I mean,
yes. Well, in this scenario, with us having 54, and to say you wanted a Keontae Scott, or you think D'Angelo Ponce is the pick because there's value there, and that's the other option. I don't like it, but Cassius Howell, the edge out of Texas A&M, is available. He's not my cup of tea, and I don't think he's the Lions' cup of tea, so I don't even know if he's on their draft board.
Yeah, I think we pick an edge later.
Yeah,
because of the trade and the way things are going, I think that we pick an edge later on.
So you get.
But now here's the thing. All right. Well, if you love Caleb Banks and you really want Caleb Banks, even though he's further down the list, do you try to take Keontae or somebody right here, or
I think that
it's my pick. I'm picking Caleb Banks right here.
you got to pick eight. That's what I would do
I'm not going to
because
risk him not being there at 54, and I think that I could live with one of the other defensive backs possibly because you
that
got
it.
D'Angelo, you got Keontae Scott, you have Genesis Smith from Arizona on there as well,
Mhm.
and
I like.
AJ
I like.
Halsey from LSU. I mean, they're right there. One of those guys is going to be there at 54. It's who is it if we like them or not. But
All
Caleb
right,
Banks.
going Caleb Banks, Genesis Smith went, D'Angelo Ponce, Will Lee went.
So three defensive backs in those next 3 picks.
Right.
But now here we go.
But
Now you got your
Keontae.
pick.
Yeah.
Right.
I would go Keontae Scott. I just like the guy, and I think that he'd fit well.
And I'd be loving this draft.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that like this could be a scenario for the Lions, depending on how those tackles go. It's gonna be fascinating to see like if it's super tackle heavy, people trading up to get in front of the Lions to get a tackle because they know the Lions want one, because you could definitely see that happening. But in this scenario, I'm going with Keontae Scott, and we got our defensive tackle. We're not getting our edge, but I like the depth we're building everywhere else.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I like this draft better than the way that the first one played out. So
I agree. So, I mean, to me, like
that's what
Caleb,
stinks too. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Caleb Tiernan just went. So, if we would have went edge there, we could have did Caleb Tiernan, and then we could have went with an all Caleb second round, Caleb Banks, and then Caleb Tiernan.
Why not?
Yeah,
That's just what I was going to say is going to be the interesting thing. Darian Price dropping to round 3 in this one is because everyone knows we need a tackle. If there are imagine if Fano really was there at 7, or if it's inching closer, that those teams are going to be calling to try to jump us if that guy falls. And that
Mhm.
also enables those teams to be like, hey, let me call them the Lions, be like, what are you offering to move up? I've got the Eagles on the line. The Eagles are offering me, a second and a third. What what are you willing to give? They're saying they want this guy. That's where it's interesting, battle between the trades and the bluffs and stuff like that too.
Yeah, they're gonna play off each other. That's for sure. All right, we're up at pick 118. So at this point, we've got cornerback, we've gotten tackle, we've gotten defensive tackle. Those are the 3 positions that we got because we picked up that extra second rounder. So you could go with a linebacker if you're looking for. I mean, you could
Look
double
at
up the
linebacker
offensive
and
line.
edge. Look at linebacker and edge just to see if there's anybody listed because right now I don't see any.
Yeah, linebacker is Caleb Elarms Orr
Okay.
out of TCU. You got, as far as tight end, highly on their board at least, is Dalen Bentley out of Utah. You got, um, man,
See Harold Perkins right there. I really
Harold Park.
like. I really
You
like
like,
Harold Perkins.
okay.
Harold Perkins is the one that was like super, super highly rated. I think that
Okay.
he was like one of those like 5-star recruit must have people. And they kind of have just used him everywhere at LSU. And he was
Okay.
somebody else that like in the early mock drafts where people are like, oh man, this could be a potential like top pick in the NFL draft. And then, things kind of went up and down. I think that they moved his position from edge
Well,
to linebacker, and then he was like a hybrid safety.
that's what it
But
says. Hybrid guard.
athletically, like I think his numbers wise and everything like that, he's still like super high.
Yeah, he tore his ACL in 2024, 4 games in, and then he returned last year. So he's an electric pass rusher. They say he could really good pursuit. He could play zone coverage. But it looks like he might not be an early down linebacker role. But if you're
You would
drafting
hope
board,
to right. You would
you're
hope that he
draft.
would develop to be like that Sam spot.
hmm And that's exactly right. And he gives me something that I really wanted for the Lions, a pass rushing threat from the linebacker position.
Right.
Like, even if it's not early downs, just we need someone that can come in and, or drop. If they said he could drop they said he could drop back into zone coverage, that would be amazing for third down. You got a guy that can cover a little bit, but then also we could send him on blitzes. So, I don't. It's is it my pick? I think it's your pick on this one. So you like Perkins on this one, I would assume.
Yes, I'll take the upside of Perkins in round 4.
All right. I like it. I could tell you that I wish I could watch more college football than I get the opportunity to watch some of these guys, but you know,
I
it
mean,
is
there's
what it
just
is.
so many. I mean, how many people are on this list? There's just no way to even know.
Yeah. Oh, we traded our other 4th round pick. That's right. To move up in this trade. So
Okay.
that was our draft. So this draft through 4 rounds, be Blake Miller, Caleb Banks, Keontae Scott gave us a C+ grade on Keontae Scott. Screw them.
Wow.
That's a Lions pick. I'm okay with it. And then a C- on us, Harold Perkins. They did not like that pick on there, but I think you got Lions players, and I'm happy. I'd be happy with this draft.
I would be so happy.
Yeah.
Even not like loving the Blake Miller. He's not my. When I say that, he's not my top pick for who I would want at offensive tackle. That doesn't mean that I would not, welcome him with open arms if that's the pick. Especially get one of those like just nasty Lions players. Like I know whoever they pick is gonna mesh well with the team and be what we're about. I'm not worried about that.
All right. I want to stay with this website. I like this website because of the trading. Let's do one more draft, and then we'll wrap it up here. So that's what I'm thinking. So we're gonna go 4 rounds again. Let's go. We're doing the PFN again, and here we go.
Jeremiah Love 2 to the Jets. The Jets trade up for Carnell Tate number 3.
Yeah, lots of
for
trades.
The Houston Texans.
Yeah, Maui Noah just went up top. Lots of trades here.
My God.
Lomu just went ahead of us. All right. I'll hold on. I'm going to hold off on these trades. I would just want to see.
Fano was there.
Yeah. They had this PFN have Sim rated way down there. I mean, they have Lomu rated ahead of Fanu, but then this is the only place that I've seen have that. So I don't think Fanu's going to be there when he's there, but if he was there, I'd be interested in picking him. So let's just look. Arvell Reese fell all the way to 8th. And this one, you got Ruben Bain fell to 10. Oh my gosh. Monroe Feeling went at 13. You got Caleb Lomu and you got Maui Noah are the offensive tackles that fell off the board.
It's crazy how time goes on. Like Monroe Freeling was always like in these mock drafts, like mock to the Lions or later. And then as time goes on, you've got the injury thing now with Maui Noah and just, I guess the pro day and the different things that are happening. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, Freeling seems to be like a lock for top 15. Like it's almost a guarantee that he's not going to be there when we draft. I mean, that's
go ahead. I was going to say, for my questions next week with Eric, that's one of my questions about Monroe Freeling. I want to get his read on it because, like, I watched a thing with Daniel Jeremiah yesterday or the day before, and he said he would not be surprised if he is the first tackle taken off the board, like goes ahead.
Yeah. Can you imagine hearing that? Like number 5 overall, Monroe Freeling?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that like he had a really good combine. He's got limited starts, so people see potential in a draft. I mean, a lot of times you're drafting that potential. I just get really worried about that. I know sometimes I want to take the high floor guy and just be happy with I mean, if I'm replacing Taylor Decker, like Taylor Decker was a good tackle, but was he ever elite? I mean, he was not an all pro, but he was a guy you could put over there, count on him pretty much playing every week and playing at, and close to Pro Bowl level. Like, and you'd be happy with that, right? I mean, that's what you want. And to me, like Blake Miller is that guy. Like, okay, I put him over there. Is he gonna be, Penei Sewell? No, he's not. But I don't necessarily need that. I have Penei Sewell. Like, I want a guy that I could count on to be there every week and do his job. So that's kind of, when I think about these things, like, what do I need with Penei on the other side? I'm happy with that. But in this case, dude, you got Caden Proctor out there, Spencer Fano, you got Messidor still out there if you wanted to go with edge. Blake Miller obviously there. Yohanador's available. Zion Young. The tight end Kenyon Sadiq falls all the way to us. You imagine the Lions draft him, and then at the same moment we're pissed because we're drafting a tight end the first round, and then we're also realizing that Laporta is going to be gone. What if Laporta gets traded in this draft? If Laporta was not injured, I would think they could make that decision, right? The Lions could say, "Hey, we need cap space. What could we, I would not want to trade Laporta, but when you think about some of the benefit and the opportunity costs, that goes into the calculus of like I'm sure that was part of the TJ Hawkinson trade. I mean, they're not equivalent. It's not 1-for-1 on that deal. The Lions were in a different position at that time. We had lost 5 of the 6 games at the beginning of that season. It looked like it was over. We didn't want to sign Hawkinson to a big deal. Everything I've read, the Lions want to re-sign Laporta to a big deal, but you could replace him cheaper, and then you could spend that $19 million that you were going to spend on Laporta somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't like. It gives me Eric Ebron flashbacks. I don't like the thought of drafting a tight end,
Yeah, you got
especially unexpected. Like if this is the way the board is, and then I see Kenyon Sadiq's name on the board. Oh my god!
Yeah. So I mean, let's see what. I just want to see what the trade offers are out there. So you had 2. You got with the Bears. I'd hate to trade with the Bears, but they are offered.
Well, but look how much we're dropping from 17 to 25, but then we're giving them pick 222, and we're moving all the way up to 57.
57. I know. I do like the value in that trade. The next one is Baltimore, which I would never do. The value is there, but it's like you're dropping all the way to pick 45.
Fix, but there's not another first round. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be tempted to do the Bears thing. 25. You're probably in this scenario, you could still get your tackle because I bet you Blake Miller's still going to be there, or Ihanador. And then you're moving from 222 to 57. So what's 222? Is that the 5th rounder? That's probably the 5th rounder, and you're moving up to the 6th. Or is that a 6th rounder? That's probably a 6th rounder. Yeah, 222 is probably a 6th.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably a 6th rounder. So I mean, that's a heck of a move there. I'd be almost tempted to do that. I just want to make the pick in this scenario.
Right.
I'm going to go with Fanu. If the board felt like this is who I would pick. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I agree.
Yeah, I would go with Fanu. I'm just going to go with that. I just want to see how this board falls with this. So the Bears trade up to get Peter Wood. So that's who they wanted. They traded up to 19, 2 behind us.
Proctor falls to the Panthers. Messidor to the Chiefs.
Blake Miller's still there. Goes to the 2nd round. Still there.
I see that being realistic too, though. Depending on how the draft plays out, I think he could fall in the 2nd round.
That's why, if Messidor falls or something like that, or you got a couple. See, Blake Miller.
There you go. Take Blake Miller now.
Yeah, Blake Miller fell. Can you imagine if we take an edge and then Blake Miller falls all the way to 50? That would be insane. So I'm going to reject this trade. All right. So pick 50. Obviously, you're not going to go with Blake Miller because we went with Fanu, but Gabe Jacobs is available. So you get your edge. I do like that. That's up to you. You got Malachi Lawrence, the edge out of UCF, if you wanted to go with edge. Caleb Banks.
I'm not high on Malachi Lawrence. I have seen him mocked to us, or seen that, chances are he's going to be there. Obviously, so this is pick 50, and they've got him ranked 51, so it's pretty much straight on there. I'm going to go with Jacques, though.
Yeah, that's what I would do, too. And
I think makes a lot of sense.
You got to be pretty happy about that draft, too. If you don't do any trades, you're getting your edge, and you're getting, you got Fanu. I mean, I'd be, if that happened, I'd be really, really, really happy.
Right. For sure.
Now, if you had the Bears scenario where you trade back, then all of a sudden you got the 2 picks in the 50, you could bounce back up and you could get someone. But in this scenario, Blake Miller fell all the way to 50. So you could possibly got your edge earlier, and then you get Blake Miller 2nd round. I don't know if Blake Miller's going to fall that far, but that'd be insane. At this point, Jake Galladay fell all the way to pick 80. Well, he's in the 88.
Yeah, that's the thing. Not having a round 3 pick when obviously we know what we try to do in the 3rd round, what Brad Holmes wants in the 3rd round. That's going to be interesting to see if we dump the 4th, if we're going to dump future stuff to try to get back up to get somebody.
Right.
Or if that's already going to be gone because we were forced to move up in round 1.
So if you're thinking about, hey, packaging our 2 4th round picks and then jumping up based on the Rich Hill. So the 2 picks in the 4th round have a 45-point value. The equivalent to that is pick 90. So you could jump up to pick 90, but then you're giving up 118 and 128.
Yeah.
So you could,
you'd have to really like somebody. Or
Yeah.
you would have to package up another future pick for that, which Brad Holmes has done before, right?
Heck yeah. I mean, he's not afraid to move around the board. That is 100% sure. So in this scenario, we got a bunch of so you got Caleb Proctor, defensive tackle out of Southeast Louisiana. Don't know too much about him. You got Caleb Elarmzor out of TCU. There's Harold Perkins is available at 118, Jacob, who you liked. Seth McGowan, that running back out of Kentucky, we talked about him last week. He's going to fall. Like he'll be available later on in the draft, probably into the 5th round. I would imagine, especially with his past. But I don't know who would you go. Well, that's
What?
my pick, right?
Okay, Chandler. That's what I was trying to see is what corner is like the top one that's on there right now.
Yeah, Charlie Demings. I don't know too much. He's Stephen F. Austin, so I don't really know. There's Devin Moore out of Florida.
I was looking at Rivers, the one from Duke.
Okay. So Devin Moore is on the beast is cornerback 16, grade 4th round. Been a starter for a year and a half. He's got an injury history, so if you're against Brad Holmes, you say that's right up Brad Holmes' alley. He's got good cover skills, but it's like one of those high risk, high reward players. Man, with the way the Lions are at, I don't know if you want to take a high risk, high reward player. I mean,
Have you
4th
looked
round
into
is
Rivers from Duke?
no. I can look that up. Let's see.
I have him up undersized but
Go ahead.
spirited. Says some teams may pass because of size, but a long career awaits. They've got him cornerback 12, 3rd to 4th round grade. He's 5'9.5".
Yeah,
So
Lions
he's
don't
not
care
very
about
tall,
height.
but exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. But we have had smaller corners like that before.
Yeah, I like
Detonate
that. Like,
screen attempts, plays more physical than he looks, coachable with strong character feedback. Lining up both inside and outside, all of those are real positive for me.
okay.
It says handsy approach will be tough to get away with in the NFL. That's how our corners, that's how our defensive backs play.
Yeah,
Attacks
sounds
runs like
like
a Rottweiler.
that sounds like a Lions player right there. I'm
Right.
going with him. I like that. See, that's one thing I like to do about these mocks, especially with the beast out. Like you get that information real quick. You can start learning about a lot of these prospects really quick. All right, Jacob.
See, Proctor and the Elam Orr, they're both still there.
And you got Harold Perkins, who you liked before, still available on the
I
board.
took him in the last one, so I don't want to take him again
Right.
in this one, although I think that would be awesome there.
All right. I want to see what this Dalen Bentley. So Dalen Bentley, tight end, out of Utah. He's a 4th, 5th round grade. I'm not saying you need to pick him, but I'm just kind of curious about what tight end is available. Needs to become a more disciplined blocker to be trusted on the pro field, but size is street. He's got pass catching talent. So, I don't know if that would fit the Lions mold, but Laporta wasn't the most seasoned blocker when he came in either. I mean, it wasn't like he was not, he's willing to do it. So it depends on their take on this guy. Like, will he be willing to put the effort in to be a blocker and you develop it? Then, that might be the pick. But who would you go in this? You got Seth McGowan, the running back out there, if you want to go running back. I don't know about this Caleb Proctor. Do you know much about Caleb Proctor out of the defensive tackle of Southeast Louisiana?
I recognize the name. I have looked into him before, and I don't remember specifics, but I remember it wasn't somebody I was very high on.
Okay. 5th round grade. Lacks ideal girth and will need to prove himself for his NFL size. So,
Well, maybe
has
that's what I
athletic
saw
traits.
where,
He's worth a day 3 gamble. So, Pro Football Network has him rated the 109th, but apparently Brugler would not have him that high. There's guards available.
Who did we take so far in this one?
And
so we got Fano in the first run. We got that corner and Jackus. Okay. So off tackle, edge, cornerback. So then, I mean, you think linebacker, safety.
Yeah. I mean, if you would probably do Perkins. If this fell to you, I know we did. We're not going to do him here, but Perkins is probably your guy. But you could defensive tackle. We could do running back. You're in your second,
Are
fourth
there any
round,
safeties like right below there, or no? Are we pretty far down from a safety?
unless you're going to use a
There's
cornerback.
positive and negative about that linebacker from TCU. And I mean, this is obviously it's round 4. It's not round 1.
Right.
Jaysean
The
Barham from Michigan.
other option is Jaysean Barnum. I know we could double up on edge. You go Jaysean Barnum because Barnum is going to be he is going to, you and I got a soft spot for Michigan players, right? But
that's also like one of those things where it's like when I'm not 100% sure about them, I would rather them not play for the Lions so that I'm not like double invested and double disappointed.
Yeah,
I will root for you from afar.
Yeah.
And Barham had some really good moments, but not consistent enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, here we are in round 4. This is not
right. You're hoping this guy, number one, plays special teams. You're also hoping that, he could get on the field at this point. By the end of the year, maybe we're getting some meaningful snaps on him, but he's also a guy like, okay, in a year or two, we're hoping to get him on the field and, he could hold an edge. I'm pretty sure he could hold an edge. It's whether, can he pass rush? Nick Singleton's out there too, still. I mean, they got him way down there. 149 in there, so that's why you're not seeing him earlier.
Here's the report on that linebacker for
go ahead.
TCU, Caleb Elarms or
Yes.
says needs a mature, explosive speed and revved up chase motor pop on film. So some of these things are highlights to me that I see. Dependable football character, hardest worker on the team, big extras guy, film, lift, training, everything. Played on every kickoff coverage. Lateral quickness and sidestep blocks, stays glued to the ball, can run in the open field. 22.68 mile per hour was his speed. So
okay,
I think that's somebody with some upside there as a linebacker and a special teamer that we can get a lot of use out of in round 4.
Yeah. All right.
So I think that's where I'm going to go there.
All right. I like it, dude. I mean, we're seeing people like, you get some having those 2 picks in the 4th round is nice. With that Dave Montgomery trade, that's really nice to have that second pick.
Yeah, for sure. A-. So this trade went better than the last one.
Yep. So we got some comments here. So first of all, MW2 wants. He said he would not trade with the Bears unless we get hijack other picks. It's kind of a screw you Ben Johnson thing, I think. And then Eric says, or I'm sorry, Scotty 4141 says Eric Schlitt says Barnum may play Sam for us if we drafted him, and I could see that, and I've heard him say that too. So
the thing about that though is like that's identical to the situation with James Houston, where we want him to play Sam. This is what we're envisioning that he can do for us. Is he fast enough? Can he get out in coverage? Can he do this like multiple facets of the game? I don't know that he can.
Right. But if Barnum, here's the thing with that, Houston was never reliable to hold the edge. He was never reliable
Very
in run
true.
defense, and that could be a different too. Like that's why he couldn't get on the field. I think when Houston got on the field at that point, it didn't really matter. The Lions were, we weren't. I mean, I guess we were vying for a playoff position, but it was, we didn't have as much depth, so we were just putting him on the field. But then he could never get on the field consistently. And you could see that with the Cowboys, Houston plays like 15 to 18 snaps. It's going to get in there on rundowns. The Lions just don't play that way. They just don't. They don't like liabilities. They want you to be able to do these things, and Houston just couldn't do it. Hell, WMW2 said FTB always and forever.
Yeah, you got that right.
Love it. It's good. It's been fun doing these drafts, dude. I love doing these. I love talking them with you.
I've got to listen to our draft episode of last year to see like what we said, because I did not revisit that after to see if we nailed any of those or if we said anything with the guys we took. And that would have been fun.
Yeah, we had Morgan on that one with us last year, so that'd be interesting. I'm pretty sure we got Ratledge in our mocks because I think he's like one of those guys that were like that's a Lions, like I almost say Jenny Zucker, was kind of that guy.
Man, you just feel that in your soul, don't you? Like you just...
I do. I just like look the way he looks, the way he plays. But I just don't know if the needs are gonna line up with that draft, and with everything. So
well, when we got him in the first draft, I think was the worst draft that we had. And then not just him, but I just like the way things played out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm worried if the way I've seen this, if we don't get a tackle in the first round, realistically, I'm scared about the type of player that we're going to get in the second round. And and then the reality sits in that Borum's going to be our full year starter on the right side. And I'm not saying that that's is for is going to doom us for the year, but it's going to make me a hell of a nervous guy to come time when we suit up. I don't know. I got to see it with my own eyes to have him in there.
Right.
Justin Rogers had a glowing review about him at right tackle, though. Really did. And I trust Justin's eyes, so maybe he's onto something, but I need to see it, and he needs to hold on to it for more than just half a season.
Yeah.
Because that's really all he's got. But he got consistent play time on the right side. It also puts Panay over on the left, which is good to cover Jared's blind side. So we'll see how it works out. But if we got this draft, Jacob, I'd be pretty happy with Fanu, Jackus, and Chandler Rivers. And then, what you said about Elam Zor, I really like. So
yeah,
I'd be happy with it. Outside of that first draft, I would not.
Yeah, both the other two.
Happy.
Maybe we just got better at drafting too.
Well, I think when we started trading back, you could see what you could get. I like the option of getting another third rounder or a second rounder, and then we didn't mess around too much about trading up, but when you get 2 second rounders, you could really move up. We could have really get some good value, and then you're getting two starters, and then hopefully one of your fourth rounders work out by the end of the year, and you're getting another starter or by the following season. But all right, man. Tigers were down 7-0.
Yeah, it's 8-6. 8-6 now. So bottom of the seventh. Pistons won.
Pistons won. Cade's back. Again. So life is good. All right, man. It's been awesome doing this with you. We appreciate all the comments from everybody on there. Hope you had a good time doing this. Remember, Eric's coming on next week. I keep mentioning it, and I want to promote our channel, but really, I'm just super excited to talk with Eric for an hour. So, and I'm good. I'm super excited for everyone that listens to us to be able to have that opportunity, because we are all going to learn a lot next week and just have fun. I have a bunch of questions set up for that. Maybe Jacob I'll let him ask one or two. But we'll see how it goes.
Hey, with Eric, I mean, sometimes you only get one or two.
I know.
He's not going to give you some short, half-ass answer. He's going to go in depth, and he's going to give you exactly what we're asking for, really.
Yeah.
He's just awesome to be on.
Yeah, last year I think we went longer than what we told him, and we apologized after we went off. We apologized. He goes, "No, it's totally my fault. I just, I'm long-winded." I was like, "Dude, you don't need to apologize about anything." So, looking forward to it. So, Jacob, next week, man, by the time we talk next week, you're going to be working from home. Got that office going. So, congrats on that. Right. Hey, and I get to see you Friday, in person, real
right.
you. I get
right. Not just on the screen, in real life. I like how you've worded just in real life. No. You stopped in the store randomly to drop something off.
Oh,
whatever.
I did do that. Yeah.
Before flu season, probably. I don't even remember when that was.
Well, I wasn't coming in during flu season, man. They get me in there to get vaccines. I'm retired from that. I don't do that anymore. Sit in my office.
Me neither now.
I know. Yeah, it's awesome. So congrats on that. I'm super happy for you.
Thank you.
And had a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the mock draft. For Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go Lions.